a rarity starting early before the scheduled time here
Right.
on YouTube, Facebook. So for those who stay hard line on the calendar invites, my apologies. But
Hey, we don't usually do the Wednesday show, so we have a hard out. So we gotta get going here.
absolutely, yeah. Shout out to For Fantasy Sake QC. They just had their 100th episode,
Hey,
and
the boys.
uh, that also sparked a reminder for me as well. I know I posted it on social media, but last episode for us was our 250th episode of the Football Lounge.
Us in
How about this?
America celebrating 250.
And I probably missed like a couple here and there that I didn't label as like full episodes. So we might be at like 255 or something like that.
Hey,
But
ooh.
yeah,
I,
episode 251 here on the show. That's pretty incredible, man. Like every now and then, I think we want to give ourselves an opportunity to look back and be like, "Holy shit, we have been doing this
a long
for
time.
a long time consistently." You know, it's,
Well, I think that's the key is that, we probably in a calendar, we're doing all but, maybe 4 or 5 shows a year. Like,
yeah,
we only miss a couple weeks a year. And I think that just, and I hope what our listeners take from that is, first off, we just love doing this. And so it's kind of like therapy for us. And we've said that before. And
out,
so,
yeah,
it also, to me, it speaks to what football has become in the culture, to where we don't talk NBA. We don't talk NHL. Shout out the Blackhawks. Bedard is
yeah,
on fire.
surging right now.
We
Let's
don't
go.
talk baseball. Cubs. Shota Imanaga coming back on a 1-year deal. Like we just love talking ball, and you can talk ball all year long because the NFL is so entertaining and it's so big, and there's so many storylines. And we always knew we wanted that to be the show from day one. It's like, hey, I'm a Bears fan, you're a Steelers fan, but we love this league and we love watching games no matter who's playing. And so even though I may not be completely tuned into everything Atlanta Falcons, I got a ton of opinions on Atlanta Falcons, and we're not
Right.
afraid
Yeah.
to spout them
That's
out.
part of the entertainment
Yep.
factor of the NFL, right? It's
Yeah.
the it's
Everyone
the
does.
ability to have opinions on multiple teams. Like I've always like mentioned this in the past. Like I really really love Chicago Cubs baseball. I watch it religiously. I probably watched 140 of their 162 games this
Wow.
year. But I'm just not like I know what other teams are doing based on because they're playing the Cubs and I'm like learning about stuff there,
Yep.
but I don't consume I only have so much bandwidth, in my head to consume content. And I focus it so much on football to where I'll check in on the Bulls every now and then. I'll watch the Cubs and
Yep.
Blackhawks pretty religiously. But in terms of the leagues, I'm not as well versed,
You
and
know
and
what's
it's the NFL that really they make it so easy to follow players, to follow teams, and to know what's going on. So it
yeah.
really is a year-round deal.
I've always said that's why I think, like, Barstool Sports, the guys at Barstool Sports, the lead guys, because the guys who are on every show, or the big cats, the PFTs, the Dave Portnoy's, the KFCs, the big names, they truly have the best job in the world because they truly get to just watch everything
Yeah,
and get to
yeah,
have an
exactly.
opinion on everything. Now I know, like, I'm a diehard Pardon My Take listener. They obviously lean 70% football, but they'll talk everything, and they get for their job to do that, just to
Yeah.
pay attention to
They
everything.
have the amount of time that they can
Yes.
watch all of the
And
other
that's why
stuff, and
they
it's,
truly are living the dream. Besides the fame and the money, whatever, it's like, no, they're living the dream, right? Like, they get to consume it. Because even you who were in, TV, sports TV, like, uh, you, you're covering your market religiously, but
right, yeah. That's
but
where the
again,
energy's at.
you don't have the energy to then focus what's going on in Seattle baseball or whatever, because you're covering your market. And so they do get that. I will quickly say before we wrap this little pat ourselves on the back up. Um, if we were to do this podcast when we were like in freshman in high school,
Oh, that
we
that
were
would've
we
been
were like Barstool Sports. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
I watched every NASCAR race in the summer because it was just like, oh, I'm used to watching football at noon on Sundays. And a week after the Super Bowl, what does NASCAR do? Like, I got addicted to NASCAR. I mean, I could name every player in the NBA. Like, I could name starting fives, like, because all you do is watch Sports Center and then watch
Go to
any
school.
and everything that was on. And you box scored online. You'd go on ESPN.com and look at every box score and study it. And you try to find highlights, wherever you could, really before YouTube, at the beginnings of YouTube. We were more dialed in as 14-year-olds probably.
That's true. Yeah. And I part of that I think is cable TV, like streaming wasn't around yet.
You had nothing else
And
distracting you.
ESPN was like a religion. Like I honestly can't count the number of times I've sat down and watched a full ESPN show this year. I don't know if I have at all. I'll watch Good Morning Football, and that's probably as close to like any cable TV network show that I watch. So, yeah, back then it was, Sports Center with Stuart Scott and, pardon the interruption,
PTI.
right around the horn. Those were like, I'm
appointment television
clock for that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, before dinner, the 4:00 hour Central Time, getting those shows and getting to watch Michael and Tony. I haven't watched PTI in forever, unless I'm
It's
like
amazing they're still going. Yeah.
Unless I'm in like sports clips at the right time. You know what I mean?
Maybe we'll be doing this when we're old and gray. It'll be a little harder to tell when I'm gray since
we will.
Hair's not gonna.
I'll just say this: if I hope there's at least another 250, just because we love doing it, and so we appreciate everyone who joins us on the journey, and we got a lot to talk about, including now that we're doing this on a Wednesday, we can focus a little bit on the fact that it's rival. It's Bears Steelers week.
I cannot wait. Yeah, let's get to that and the rest of our Week 11 recap coming up next. It is rivalry week. Steelers at Bears, Sunday, noon Central, 1 Eastern. The last time the Bears played the Steelers, we had a little friendly bet here on the show.
We did.
I was actually in attendance for the game, Monday Night Football, at Heinz Field. Was still Heinz Field at the time. And you had to eat several Carolina Reaper Buffalo Wild Wings.
That was a tough one.
While doing the show. So
that was a tough one.
To you. Yeah. So
that was, especially because they had gotten a little cold. So like that cold spice really wasn't ideal. Wasn't ideal.
I will say the Bears have largely had the Steelers number this millennia. And especially in Soldier, the Bears have not performed, or the Steelers have not performed very well in Soldier Field, outside of one, the one iconic play that's always,
the bus
looked at with the bus. But yeah, well, actually, you know what? That was in Pittsburgh, actually. Now that I think about it, because I can see it now, and I think Urlacher's wearing white. So
I think he is where you're right.
Yeah.
I think it is.
So
it's funny though. All you had to say was the iconic play. I'm like, oh, it's Urlacher in the bus. Like,
yeah.
But again, that's when we were dialed in as like 12-year-olds. We were locked in.
Obsessed.
We were locked in.
But yeah, like early thoughts. I mean, I know we're gonna do a Week 11 recap and talk about both these teams and their respective matchups this past week, but obviously we got to talk a little Bears Steelers as we get ahead of this one. So yeah, your early indicators, because I do think Aaron Rodgers is going to play.
I think he's going to force some. I think he's going to force the issue, and I'm okay with that. I like. Listen, Chicago's defense this year has been lackluster, to say the least, but it has been. The Chicago defense was built on a really great secondary, and then you kind of hope everything else falls into place with veteran linebackers and a defensive line that is lacking, total star power beyond Sweat, like any recognizable names beyond Bears fandom, right? But what's crazy is this whole year, the secondary has been a morgue. And so that's why you have these CJ Gardner-Johnsons and people showing up. The one consistent has been Kevin Byard, and he has been electric intercepting.
Got 5 picks this year, right? Yeah.
And so Brisker, Gordon, Johnson, all of them are actually eligible to play this weekend, which we haven't seen at all this year. Not to start the season, not at the bye. They've all been injured at all different times. A lot of them for the time all time together. So that to me is going to be a huge focus for me on this game. Is like, okay, who's actually in the starting lineup? Who's actually going to be playing for this secondary? And the nice thing is that as the Bears are trying to make this run, right, and they have a ton of giant games coming up, even if the starters come back, who I want my starters and the stars to come back, the rotational guys now have a ton of experience. Right. And all these guys who made the big play on JJ McCarthy and the pick in the end zone. Like, these are guys now that it's like 7 weeks ago, I'm like, these are no-name guys who barely made it onto the roster. And now these are guys who I've seen play big in big spots. So now what was a weakness, it feels like it's going to become back to an ultimate strength. So that's a huge key point for the Bears. I think the other key will be Caleb Williams has not been getting sacked and has been really, really good at avoiding sacks. Well, this is going to be a test, right? That Steelers defensive line, and they like to get after it in TJ Watt. So that's going to be a real test for them. I like the Bears' chances. I hope Aaron plays because I don't want the Bears versus backups does not look good. Like, it has been ugly at times. And the Bears, and I think there's something brewing with this season. And I think that a win at home against a Pittsburgh team that I think is very beatable, just like the Bears, I think are very beatable. It's not like the Bears are favored because they're at home. If this was a neutral field, it'd be a pick 'em. And I'm like, hey, go out there and get a win. I think the Bears can win. I'm expecting the Bears to win. You're a favorite at home. You've won 7 out of your last 8 games. You're playing winning football. It's got to see the offense click. The offense hasn't clicked, and I don't know if it's going to click against that Pittsburgh defense.
Yeah, they have been a little sporadic this year and had their moments, but also had their down moments too. I mean, these two teams kind of are similar in that way. They've performed up to and beyond expectations at times, and they've performed well below expectations at times. Both their defenses rely on the splash play, the big, game flipping turnover, and both these teams can get after the quarterback a little bit as well. And they both, well, I think the Bears are better at this. They both, commit to the run to some extent. The Steelers built their team around that, but they've actually passed the ball a lot more. So we'll see kind of how they maneuver that. Jaylen Warren, got injured last week. He seems like he's fine. He could have gone back in the game. Aaron Rodgers was lobbying to go back in the game last week. He's got a fracture in that wrist, but it's a non-throwing hand. So I imagine he will be out there. They had him do a press conference today that is, to me, indicative that, he's likely to play, but I think they're going to approach the week with Mason Rudolph.
They're going to use this to their advantage and try to throw the Bears into, you got to prepare for both guys.
Yeah. And honestly, not that the game plan would change very much between the two. I think maybe certain shots would be a little different. But that's about it. I am intrigued by the matchup overall. You were mentioning how the secondary, some players have performed well and way above expectation. The Steelers have gotten real great production in spite of several injuries in the secondary this year. Jalen Ramsey has now been moved to full-time safety because Deshaun Elliott went down. But they've had trouble in the cornerback room. Darius Slay has literally been injured every game.
Yeah.
And he ends up leaving and missing several snaps. But James Pierre has, former undrafted player, has come through big. He had the scoop and score last week. Damian Eccles, their slot corner now, has really come through big. And Kyle Duggar, who they traded for from the Patriots just a couple weeks ago, he literally got to Pittsburgh, spent 2 days there, and played every snap for them that week and didn't give up a big play. And then last week has the big pick 6 against Flacco that, really provided that separation. So they're getting a lot of production from guys that you weren't expecting coming into the year. I agree. I think Caleb Williams is going to be the difference in this game overall. Are the Steelers going to be able to get to him and force some errant throws, perhaps? He doesn't make a whole lot of – he makes some errant throws, but when they are made, they're not catastrophic, right? He makes sure to, not put that in harm's way. Are they able to force him into a bad throw, or can they just get the ball on the ground? I saw video, they elevated quarterback / wide receiver
Yeah,
John
I
Reese
saw that.
Plumlee, and they had him simulating Caleb Williams because he's the only like remotely athletic and fast quarterback they have. And they were having him specifically hold the ball out like Caleb likes to do and try and do a spin outside of the pocket, and having them specifically try and go after that. So is Caleb going to be a little bit more mindful of that, especially with, we know the edge rushers for Pittsburgh are really keen to attacking the arm chop there. So I'm excited. I think it'll be really fun. I too feel like the Steelers can win and should win this game, but I'm not going to be surprised at either outcome. I think the same for you. So I think they're pretty evenly matched teams going into this one. And so just really excited to watch.
And unless it's ugly either way, I don't think either of us are going to leave the game if we lose like devastated. I think
that's fair. Yeah.
I respect Pittsburgh. They're a winning culture. They're an above average football team. They're not a bottom dweller. If you lose at home to a well-coached veteran Pittsburgh team that is, fighting for their, first place in the division, is going to play a desperate against Aaron Rodgers, who there are just some things, right? There's just some things that in life that you can't explain. He at Soldier Field is more comfortable than it was at Lambeau Field at times. And so
right.
if Aaron Rodgers beats me one more time, I'll have seen that movie a gajillion times. And so it's not going to devastate me. For my sense, offensively, I'd like to see them at home, less field goals, more touchdowns. Can we convert a couple of those Cairo kicks that we had to deal with this week, we'll talk about, into actual touchdowns? The Bears have still struggled to do that a little bit. I'd like to see them do that against a Pittsburgh defense that at times have given up big plays in the passing game, and they're vulnerable at times.
I, oddly enough, feel that the stakes are slightly higher for Pittsburgh in this game, in that I think the Bears can afford to lose this game and still be in the playoff hunt. Now, I think they lose the North if they lose this game. And it's an AFC, interconference opponent, so that's not going to factor too much, but the overall record is going to play a factor. And the Bears' schedule is obviously pretty rough. They go on the road after this 2 straight weeks against Philly and Green Bay, but Pittsburgh has Buffalo and Baltimore on deck as well. And with Pittsburgh's, barely hanging on to a division lead, I think if they lose the division lead early, in this case after this week,
it could fall
then
apart.
Have to play Buffalo and Baltimore. They could easily be having a losing record going into the final stretch of the season, and that to me really doesn't look like promising, and it looks a lot like last year. So, but slightly, because there are implications certainly for both of these teams.
That you make the point is, for Chicago Bears fans and for anyone out there who doesn't really realize it, the Bears have still a game against the Lions, 2 games against the Packers, and a game against the Niners, who they are going to be competing with for the 7th seed. So the Philly game and the Steelers game, for the Bears fans, it doesn't really matter. I don't want to end up 7-5 in a week and a half from now, having lost 2 straight. But if you are at that point,
but it's not doom and gloom.
The most important games are still ahead of you. 2 against Green Bay, Detroit, and then San Francisco. That's the Bears' whole season. If they go 3-1 in that stretch, they win the division and are locked in the playoffs. If they go 2-2, it's hairy and you need some things to break your way. If you go 1-3, you don't deserve to make the playoffs, no matter what you do against Philly and Pittsburgh. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Yep.
But because the Bears got to 7-3, they're allowed to say Philly and Pittsburgh don't matter. That's a luxury.
This is the earliest Chicago's gotten to 7 wins in over a decade, right? I saw one of those.
It was a stat I was going to bring up when we talk about the Bears. Let's do it now. The Bears, since 2000, so over the last 25 years, this is only the 6th time they've been at 7-3 or better.
Oh, just in general. Yeah.
In general. 6th time in 25 years that they're at 7-3 or better at this point in the season.
Wow. Yeah. 25 seasons.
It's basically once every 5 years the Bears have a good season. And that just goes to show you how crazy it is for Bears fans, and why I'm happy, and I'm just going to keep riding it as long as it goes.
Fantastic. All right. Well, enough on the week ahead. Let's look at the week that was, week 11. We'll breeze through quite a few of these games, but starting with Thursday Night Football, the Patriots win 27 14 over the New York Jets. Travion Henderson show. He had 3 touchdowns in this one. I thought Drake May did play well yet again, however. And so he's looking good, but I think they've started to realize and unlock the potential of their rookie running back.
Yeah.
And now the fact that the Patriots might have a very stable run game and also a run game that can pop a 80-yarder at any given time adds yet another dimension to this team. I'm consistently amazed at how good they are, and I did not anticipate this. I knew Mike Vrabel was going to have a positive effect. And I think you as well thought they were 1 year away from realizing that. It's come early for them here, and a lot of it has to do with Drake May. Don't want to discount that, but a lot has to do with Mike Vrabel too. Very solid team. They're legit, I think, Super Bowl contender, to be quite honest.
They've won 8 straight, Dan, and I had them at 9 wins and was the one who liked them of the two. I think you had them at 5 or something wins.
I don't think I had them that. Maybe I did. I have to go back and look. But I thought that they were going to be the feisty team, just that they didn't have a good enough roster to pull it out, right? But
I had them at 9 wins. I was like, and just missing the playoffs, but I really liked them. And they're already at 9 wins, and they have plenty more to go. They're legit, and a lot of it is their young quarterback is really been special. And him and Josh McDaniels are just really cooking some stuff up. And the scary thing is they're not even truly supporting him yet. They still need probably another offensive lineman, an elite tackle to add to that roster. And they definitely probably need to still go get him a true to grow with young number 1 wide receiver. But yeah, Henderson showed up, and that was big. Pats, they are at the Bengals next week. So they absolutely should be favoring that game. They could get to 10 wins, maybe the first team to 10 wins. Jets are at the Ravens. The Jets, they're moving on from Fields. They're benching him for Tyrod Taylor. I don't know what that does in the sense that if you're a Jets fan and you're at 2-8, you don't want to win games at this point.
Right.
And so if the coach says, Tyrod gives us the best chance to win, if I'm a fan, I'm kind of like, fuck that. I don't want to bet the best chance to win. And you signed Justin Fields to a 3-year deal. So you're giving up on him halfway through year 1 of a 3-year deal. So then again, it just makes you look like an idiot. You guys trusted him, and you're not even going to give him the full season in a season in which he's losing you games. And that's probably the best thing for you. So I don't understand that, but I get it. His play has not been good. That fumble late in the 4th was just really ugly. And so we'll see.
I saw somewhere that if they do cut bait with Justin Fields next year, they will be on the hook for $55 guaranteed million to the quarterback position, because they'd still be owing Aaron Rodgers from their early release as well. So yeah, not ideal for a franchise that's hurting. The Dolphins barely beat Washington 16-13. This one in overtime. Nobody wanted to win this game. Mike McDaniel and Dan Quinn both catching flack, but I think Mike McDaniel more understandably to not take a field goal, going for 4th multiple times. Both of these teams did. I think they were both saying, hey, we've got nothing really to lose here. Let's just go for the win. And so that much can be understood, but ultimately, I think McDaniels got a little lucky here in the fact that the Dolphins ended up winning, because they wanted to give this one away several times.
Well, the Dolphins were down 13-6 at the end of the 3rd quarter, and they were not looking good. Tua was 14 of 20 for 170 yards. It wasn't a pretty effort from the offense, even though the kind of the bury of the lead. Apparently, the Dolphins are committed to Tua and McDaniel for next year. They said. So I think it makes some sense in the sense that Tua's money, you're really SOL. I would still draft a quarterback probably 3rd round or 3rd, 4th round, something like that, just to have a guy that McDaniel and the organization can look at. And McDaniel clearly has proven there inside the building there that he's worth finishing out this contract and giving it another year. I'll say this, the Dolphins score a touchdown to start the 4th, and then it was so ugly. When you're talking about no one wanted to win this game, Dan, after that touchdown for Washington to go up, to tie it, so it's 13-13, it was downs, punt, downs, missed field goal, interception, overtime, Dolphins field goal. Like
Yeah.
it was like it was just really, really ugly for Washington. We're going to have to spend some real time on this in the offseason. I don't want to kill it now, but this is a disaster. I mean, this is a team that was in the NFC title game. This is a team that this is not a sophomore slump. This is a crash and burn and crash and burn like a it feels like the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, I mean, where it's like, well, you have this quarterback who's really special. But what the hell else is going on with this organization? Cincinnati makes the Super Bowl. And since then, when Joe Burrow doesn't play, even when he does play times, it is like devoid of talent. It feels like, and that's what Washington just feels like. It's like, do I trust that
You also
coach?
feel old.
Well, yeah, they're ancient. I don't know if I trust the head coach. I don't know if I trust the play calling. I don't know if I trust any of their young players. We were sold on like Bill Krosky Merritt was supposed to be fun. Dude, he's trash. And then this guy Rodriguez comes out of nowhere. He at least ran the ball somewhat effectively. They got a talent issue in Washington. This team is far away.
I mean, they have suffered injury, but that's kind of part of the deal that you sign up for. But I mean, Jaden and Terry McLaurin hasn't played the majority of the season. Yeah. I think they really
maybe that's why they're not panicking.
Guys.
Yeah, maybe that's why they're just kind of saying, "Hey, we're writing it off." But it's ugly, and it doesn't look like it's going to improve at all down the stretch of the season.
The Panthers hang on to a 30-27 overtime victory over the Falcons. Honestly, the Falcons defense is pretty decent this year. Bryce Young threw for 448 yards in this game. And, some of that was in kind of gimme territory late in this game. But I thought Bryce Young held himself pretty well for a guy that was forced to throw 45 times in this game. And he threw 3 touchdowns. I do think, and I also think it was somewhat of a season-saving win for Carolina. I think if Carolina fell to 5-6, Carolina just doesn't seem like a team that can really crawl back from behind. They are front runners, in my view, and so them staying in the fight for the division with this Buccaneers collapse at least gives them a little bit of hope. I don't see there being a wild card team coming out of this division, so that's the only pathway to playoff for Carolina is to win this division, and this at least kept their hopes alive.
Michael Penix Jr. looks like he's out for the year. That is that's a huge story for Atlanta. The Atlanta falls to 3-7. They've lost 5 straight. This was a 3-2 Atlanta team. This is a 3-2 Atlanta team that is led by a defensive head coach who's getting his second chance as a head coach, right? Not a first-time defensive head coach. He's all right, let him get, it's his first, only his second year. Like, let's keep letting him build his system. And now he's losing his quarterback. And the quarterback was playing well. He's 13 of 16, 175 yards before the injury. And let alone the fact that ACL injuries was Michael Penix's problem in college. And we said, can he hold up in the NFL? And a year and a half in, ACL injury. And listen, you gave up 448 yards passing to Bryce Young at home, and you're a defensive head coach who your first 2 picks in the NFL draft, you moved up. Remember, you 2 edge rushers in the first round. Both those guys are playing okay from what I've seen. But Dan, you're up 21-10 at half, and you're at home. And you can't end your 4-game losing streak with a win against division rival. Yeah. I mean, Raheem Morris, now he'll get the benefit of, they lost his quarterback. This season was lost before Michael Penix got injured. Easy. I don't know if they win this game with Michael Penix or not, because Michael Penix doesn't play on the defensive side of the ball. That completely collapsed. And I'm sorry, if you're a defensive coach, I'm not trusting defensive head coaches much anymore in the modern NFL, and I'm certainly not trusting ones whose defenses absolutely fall apart and are not good.
Doesn't
make sense.
The damning statement against Atlanta that I've seen is those the carousel of photos floating around of when teams post that they completed their head coaching interviews, and it says we have completed head coach interview with Mike Vrabel. We've completed an interview with Mike McDonald. We've completed an interview with Ben Johnson. all three of them obviously not selected to be the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons or didn't choose to be head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. They are a combined 23-8 this season, and Atlanta is one loss away from equaling that loss total alone.
And I'll say really quickly about the Panthers, good on them for just saying F it. They were 3 of 5 on fourth down, meaning they just went full they just went full Lions, or like, screw it. We have nothing to lose. It's division rival. Let's win this football game. Tet and Leggett looked like that's your wide receiver 1 and 2. Tet and Leggett. I mean, it's a buddy cop movie waiting to happen. And they were great. And Bryce Young had a couple really nice throws. I mean, his rollout TD pass to Leggett is a really special throw. The problem is for Bryce Young, we've seen now a 400-yard game and a 300-yard game, and the rest are 100 or less yard games. Like, we've seen a couple pops, and that's nice, but he has now got to try to string some stuff together. They're at the Niners next week, so good luck. And then Atlanta is at the Saints. You're now with Kirk Cousins. I don't want to hear, oh, the season's lost, we have to go to our backup quarterback. A backup quarterback that you're paying $150 million right. guaranteed to. Yeah. This is again, Raheem Morris and this team should not he should not get a pass. Like, this is, I don't know if Atlanta fans are frustrated. I'm frustrated for them. Like, this is a disaster. Bijan Robinson is a stud. Drake London is a stud. But they paid Kirk Cousins and they drafted Michael Penix to avoid quarterback hell, and they're in quarterback hell.
Yeah, easily. They got the worst of both worlds in this situation. The Buffalo Bills win 44-32 over the Buccaneers. Josh Allen, 6 total touchdowns in this game. I thought this was a massive statement win for Buffalo, and I wouldn't in any other situation hold this against the Buccaneers. I mean, it's a hard-fought game. You put up 32 points against the Buffalo Bills. You fought. You took them toe-to-toe for a large portion of this game. But this was back-to-back losses, and you're on the heels of a game against the Rams coming up. Very likely a 3-game losing streak here for Tampa. And they're starting to lose their grip here, as I mentioned with the Panthers, on the division. I'm still going to take Buccaneers to win this division, of course. I think they're a talented team. They're still a top 10 team, in my view. But I would start to get a little concerned, even though they've lost to 2 very, very talented teams in these back-to-back weeks. It's still, they really haven't beaten the great teams lately. And so I'm wanting to see that magic come back again. Big game next week at LA.
In 6 days from now, next Tuesday, we'll be talking about the Bucs on a 3-game losing streak. We'll be talking about the Bucs at 6-5, so and I will say the same thing I'm saying now. Not worried. Like, the Bucs will win their division. Look at the way the season ends. The Bucs are in the slog of their.
They've got an incredible ending to the season.
And the Bucs, we said it in the preview for the season. The Bucs are going to hit a roadblock. I had them as a 10-win team, but winning that division, you can't go through this run that the Bucs are on and expect to be a 10, 11 win team at this point. Like, that would be insane. Like, they would truly be the number 1 team in the NFL if they were winning these games. I'm not picking the Bucs to win the Super Bowl, but they'll be fine. They're going to win this division. Not worried about them. Baker, I thought, played well, all things considered, running, throwing.
And they're getting Bucky Irving back. I think that's going to be a huge help. Even though Sean Tucker,
the run game was alive. Yeah, it was live. He was really good. They're still trying to figure out the weapons without Mike Evans, without Godwin. It's young and it's different. Otten and Ibuka and Shepard. He's got some guys, but I think they're still waiting. I think Godwin can come back. That, I think, will be helpful for the Bills. Yeah. Really quickly, massive win for them. Allen scrambling, buying time, bomb touchdown to Shavers early in the second.
Yeah, that was 14-10. What a throw! Especially
after now we can, and we'll talk about it here. The Chiefs really, truly kind of come back to earth, and Mahomes' play coming back to like, oh, he's playing like a really good quarterback, not playing like the best player in the NFL. Josh Allen reminds us, I think he's the best football player on the planet right now. What he's doing, when you start to already see the touchdown numbers too, like since 2020, he's accounted for more touchdowns than everyone. And second is like Tom Brady, which is so crazy or something like that. We're like third on the list. Mahomes isn't even on the list. Jackson is at the very bottom of it. He is piling up passing and rushing touchdowns together. He is a special player. Again, I don't know how long it's going to last for him, but they are at a giant game at Houston tomorrow night. You cannot let this now. You've got to get to 8-3, and you've got to just full pedal down, beat a Texans team that will be without CJ Stroud. Get yourselves to 8-3 and make a push. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, the Stroudless Texans beat the Titans barely 16-13. Davis Mills looked like he was coming back to earth a little bit this game, although he did technically lead the game-winning drive at the end. So kind of a rough blow for the Titans, but Titans are also sitting pretty at the number 1 overall pick coming up next year. So we'll see if that holds for them. But yeah, Texans win 16-13. I'm still not overly impressed with this team in general. Their defense is really, really, really good. Like top 5 defense for sure.
Danielle Hunter's
but Stroud's banged up. We don't know when he's going to come back. And I just don't trust this team down the stretch. And they're already 5-5. I expect them to lose next week and be 5-6. It's going to be tough for the Texans to get back in this thing.
Absolutely. But I think when CJ Stroud is going to come back, like they're going to be a really end the season probably at 9-8. And it's like, damn, they're tough. Like I'm not, if I'm a Texans fan, I'm not, there's a lot worse outcomes for how this year has gone. I will say this, the Texans have a glaring flaw, their inability to run the ball consistently. I mean, Marks and Chubb, nothing was really going.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Joe Mixon? Like, I mean, Joe Mixon has been a stud, and he hasn't played this year at all. And I'm not sure exactly if we ever got.
I don't think he will. Yeah.
Why? And like they need to just improve their offensive line. Like I'll be very intrigued with how the Texans offseason goes to what their prospects are. I agree. Texans, if they can upset Buffalo, they're very alive. You get almost an extended bye because you're playing tomorrow night, and you can get CJ Stroud fully healthy. And if you can find yourself at 6-5, that's big. But I agree. I think tomorrow night will be the kind of the start of the wind down of the Texans season.
Your Chicago Bears had a big win on the road at Minnesota, 19-17. Caleb Williams yet again credited with a game-winning drive, if you can really count that as a drive of any kind. But they did win. They got that field goal and to win it. So Cairo Santos coming through big for one of the few times so far. So we'll see if that continues. But yeah, I would get your thoughts on this game.
He missed the 45-yarder earlier.
He did.
To where then they would have already had 19 points and it would have quelled momentum. I digress. Quickly, game. I'll just say this: the Chicago Bears. You have to understand, before JJ McCarthy's touchdown to go up then 17-16 late in the fourth, at the start of that drive, he had was less than 100 yards passing and was at like 17 of 27. I mean, it was an ugly, ugly game for him. After watching Jackson Dart and then going straight to JJ McCarthy, I would be like, I would take Jackson Dart 10 times out of 10 next year to start my team over JJ McCarthy. I mean, he was missing guys wide open. You could tell there are players that are frustrated. Minnesota's now at 4-6. I think their playoff chances are done. In the NFC, there's just no way. You have to have 10 wins to be a playoff team in the NFC. There's just too many good teams. They're going to have to look in the mirror, and a lot of depending on how the season ends and how JJ plays to end the season. I mean, Justin Jefferson had 5 catches for 61 yards, again, on 9 targets. Like, he's only catching like half his balls, and it's because a lot of them are not catchable. For Caleb and for the Bears, this game, I blame the fact that it even got to this point on Ben Johnson. The Bears were up 16-3. They had just gotten the ball back. This is late third quarter, and it felt like his 2 play calls, it was the only 2 sacks that Caleb took in the whole game, and it completely changed the momentum. As soon after the 3-and-out, the Bears then kicked the ball to Minnesota. They have a gigantic return, and then they score that touchdown off of 2 run plays, and now it's 16-10, and Minnesota has all the momentum in the world. And then JJ led them again, obviously, to the lead. What I'll say this about is that felt like Ben Johnson was calling plays because he was looking at the box score. It felt like he was like, okay, we're up 2 scores. We're dominating this football game. Even though it's only 16-3, we're scoring on drives. It's just field goals. They can't score. They had 1 field goal off of a lucky bad field position thing, right? And it felt like, oh, Caleb's only got 130 yards, like no touchdowns. Like, okay, let's get something going. It was not protected well. It was big play. It just felt like we're going to try to get 2 big plays. We're going to try and let's Caleb put pads and stats. And it didn't go well, and Caleb was sacked twice. A guy who's been elite at avoiding sacks and not taking sacks. And it was all of a sudden, it was like, oh shit. What did the Bears do the next drive? They committed to the run, and they set themselves up then for the missed field goal. But at least they were the better team. They deserved to win this game. So people, like the Duvernay kick return then at the end to give him great field position. So where Caleb's game-winning drive was not Caleb at all. That was the football gods righting a wrong, right? Like, okay, hey, this got out of hand. The Bears were the better team. They played the better game on the road against a Brian Flores who blitzed, I think, like almost 40% of dropbacks. It was insane what he was doing. And the Bears handled it well. Like I thought it was impressive, even though Caleb's numbers weren't great. He was actually good. And again, drops are an issue. Final thing I'll say just about the Bears in general. If this is Caleb Williams' floor, which I think we're now establishing under Ben Johnson, this game is a Caleb Williams floor game. 16 of 32, 193 yards. But man, he was really great running around and scrambling. There was receivers that made a couple of drops. And again, he doesn't make mistakes. Like, he does not turn the ball over. He does not throw bad interceptions. J.J. McCarthy's 2 interceptions were bad, and for different reasons bad. The first one is, it's like, you're not seeing people bad, like Sam Darnold seeing ghosts. And the second one was bad because he thinks he has Mahomes' arm and he's trying to make a throw. You should not make in a bad situation. Like, you're driving the football. You have all the momentum. You're in your opponent's side. And like, why are you pushing the ball down the field? And Wright made a great catch. The Bears pick, like, it wasn't just like a horrible throw, but it was a dumb situational decision, and he doesn't have the arm strength to even get it to where he thought he needed to go. So really bad play, really bad interceptions. Caleb doesn't do that. If this is Caleb's floor, Dan, then I'm not saying I want to pay him $60 million a year, but I'm saying the ceiling feels like it could really pop off at any moment if this is the floor.
Yeah, for sure. Once he puts it all together, I agree. He's slowly becoming more and more comfortable in the league. The Packers get a much needed win, 27-20 in it required a hard fought effort from Jordan Love, who did make some gutsy plays and some really nice throws down the field. He didn't get help from his receivers sometimes in this game. There were a couple big drops, but he's been up and down this year, big time. This one he delivered when it mattered most, and gets those 2 touchdown passes, the final one to go up and secure the lead. But you can't help but feel like this Packers team is waning from how it started this season. It was so much promise, and despite them being at 6-3-1, they're 3rd in the division right now. And I think the way that they're playing isn't very inspiring or sustainable. I'm not totally bought in on them being a very good team overall. But we'll see. They could be one of those teams that nobody wants to play in the playoffs because they can do random magical stuff out of nowhere in those key moments. But they're not playing consistent football despite this win.
I think the Packers are like the Bears, the Lions, the Niners, and Seattle. Basically everyone in the NFC, not Philly and the Rams. The Rams, because I think they are a really good football team, top to bottom, and have few weaknesses. Eagles, their roster is just so different that it's hard to compare them to anyone, and they're the defending champs. But the next level of team is Lions, Bears, Niners, Seattle. Those are the ones hovering in the playoffs. Those are separated from the Cardinals and the teams like that. And what I'm saying about all those teams is what we've seen now with the Bears, the Packers, the Lions, and Seattle, and the 49ers is that they truly can look ugly at times. And yet a lot of them, it's just they're finding ways to win. And credit to Jordan Love. The Giants led 20-19 in the middle of the fourth. Jordan Love goes in a 7-play, 65-yard, beautiful touchdown throw to Christian Watson to take the lead and then not give it back, right? And win that game 27-20. And it completed the 2-point conversion. Like, that looked like what I've seen from Caleb. Like, I can't be critical of that. He's a little erratic. But he can make really special plays. I think him and Caleb are very similar players in that way. He's a little beat up, and this is now becoming a little bit of a trend with Jordan Love, that he's not like Caleb in this way. Is like, he's going to miss some time. He's going to have some kind of weird injuries. Luckily, the Packers have Malik Willis, and he is sneaky one of the best backups in the league in his situation. Like, he's been great for them when they've had to play him, and he's had a good amount of playing time over the last 3 years that Jordan Love has been the starter. Big win for the Packers. They're home against Minnesota next week. That's a ginormous game. And then the Giants are at the Lions, so a nice get-right game for Detroit's offense.
Steelers win big 34-12 over the Bengals. This was much needed after just a few weeks removed from losing to the Bengals and, having Jamar Chase having a career day. Thought the Steelers defense has really responded well over the past couple of weeks. They're playing a lot better. They're stopping the run. In this game, they were able to effectively shut down both Chase and Higgins for the most part, outside of the one Higgins touchdown. I thought that was special given how many injuries they've had in their secondary. So they're figuring things out. They're kind of throwing some wrinkles in there that I think is tough for offenses to plan against. Part of it is the 3 outside linebacker package that they've thrown in there. They're having Nick Herbig, Alex Highsmith, and TJ Watt on the field at the same time. And it's hard to know who's going to rush from where. They're doing stunts. They're getting creative. And they're playing more zone. I mean, they really wanted to be a man team this year. And it was just apparent that they were too slow to be a man team. And so now they're running more zone. It's worked so far. We'll see if that continues to go. I thought that was the big difference in this game. The offense still left a lot for me to be desired. Personally, I still am frustrated with the usage of Jaylen Warren. He yet again 6 yards a carry, but only 8 carries, and had 2 carries in the second half. And yes, he was injured midway through the second half, didn't return. It's just that part's frustrating for me when he's performing so well. He's your best player. I want to see more Darnell Washington in the fold.
That was my one note.
My
one note was Washington just barreling over people. It's so
he's great, man. I mean, truly try and think of any player that you could ever compare. And I'm not sure that there's been a player that exists like him, that has ever existed like him in the league. A proficient route runner who has good hands and weighs over 300 pounds and is fairly athletic and can block extremely well. He has a very unique skill set, I will say. And I think they need to feature him a lot more.
The only guy who even compares size-wise, but even this guy's probably still another 30 pounds lighter than Washington is his name just escaped me. He just re-signed with the Broncos. He was on the Bears.
Like Mercedes Lewis or
Mercedes
something?
Lewis. Mercedes Lewis is like 6'7", 6'8", probably 270, but was always a great blocker, but could make catches and do it. Like, he's the only thing. But Mercedes Lewis in the open field wasn't running at people like he's Andre the Giant. And that's what Washington does. He looks at you like he's the mountain in Game of Thrones, like, let's go, bitch. Yeah. Like, he's huge.
I love his nickname as Mount Washington. It's really
Mount Washington is great. I'll say this, Dan, I was really impressed by this win from the Steelers, mainly because of how dire it was after that last Bengals game. Yeah. And so to respond against the division opponent, to get back and kind of calm the waters as the Ravens are making their predicted run to get to 6-4, to give yourself a chance to playing well.
Yeah, they have to keep fending off Baltimore now.
And Mason Rudolph just, again, goes to show he's an elite backup in a great situation. Obviously, I still would rather play Aaron Rodgers because I still think we just know that his upside is higher.
Yes.
But Mason Rudolph can certainly play just as good as Aaron Rodgers right now for this team if they needed him to start. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And I got to give props to Kenneth Gainwell. He's been a really good backup running back.
He has been. He was their leading receiver.
Yeah. 2 touchdowns in this game for him. So, big game this week, of course, against the Bears. The Jaguars, a stunner to me. Loss of the week, sir. The Chargers, 35-6. Just no life from LA at all in this game. They couldn't run effectively. Trevor Lawrence wasn't particularly impressive either in this game. But Jacksonville's defense certainly played well. They got after Justin Herbert a couple times in some key moments. Trevor did again have a bad pick, but the Jacksonville, they just ran the football like crazy. They said, we're going to take the Chargers approach and take it right to them. 47 carries for Jacksonville in this game. They were able to control a good portion of this game. It was really, really out of, the left field. I wasn't expecting this, a huge upset. And Jacksonville 6-4. Like, I don't know. They're a weird team. We've said it all year.
And remember, they have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs.
Yes.
The Chiefs are in real trouble. We'll talk about that. The Jags
are in serious trouble.
Jags should feel really good about their playoff chances. The Jags are they are at Arizona next week. So that like a really winnable game. Chargers are on a much needed bye. The Chargers need to reset. They're
in trouble.
The Jags
are in trouble despite being 7-4.
They had the Jags had 15 more minutes time of possession.
Yeah.
The Jags had 30 first downs. The Chargers had 8. That they just the Chargers couldn't do anything. And here's the thing that we struggle with. It's so fun when Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence play, right? It's like, it is the what if bowl. It's the what if bowl. Both of these guys are the biggest what ifs in the NFL, the quarterback world right now.
They're like the same archetype as well.
Trevor at times, it's just like, dude, why are you making this so difficult? Why does this look so hard for you? You're this big, strong, good-looking guy who's this rocket arm. Like, why does this look so hard? It's like he doesn't process things. And for Herbert, when you watch until he was pulled, it just looked like a guy who had absolutely no answers for anything. Nothing was working at all.
It's mind-boggling.
It was and to see a guy who's paid that much, but who we know his ceiling, like we know his highs. Like, can you imagine? Like Patrick Mahomes, listen, his play is regressing. But can you imagine Patrick Mahomes getting pulled in the middle of the fourth, 10 for 18, 81 yards and interception? No. Like, absolutely not, because Mahomes is able to always just do something. Like, and still be like not the reason they're losing. Mahomes,
I think they knew that Herbert may get killed at some point in the game.
Well, they had to pull him. Yeah, it was a smart thing to do to pull him. They were dead. I mean, they were dead. This was your loss of the week. This was my win of the week. I mean, Jacksonville.
Yeah, I mean, it could have gone either way, but I just thought for the Chargers to lose in that fashion, that's brutal.
Well, yeah, especially when they had momentum and they were playing well and they kind of were figuring things out. And then, like, to get completely wiped like that, I'm so glad they're on a bye. Like, they need to like look in the mirror, like, what the heck happened? Yeah. And for the Jaguars, listen, you're at Arizona, a great opportunity to get to 7-4. You have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs. Like, this is still up for grabs. The AFC South could still be up for grabs if they get to 7-4 with a win over Arizona. There's no reason why it couldn't be. The Colts have some tough games down the stretch. I think the Jags and Colts still play each other one time. So big. That's why it was my win of the week. Like, I totally, if the Jags can play like that, like, and have an identity and run the rock like that, they can play with a lot of people. And
yeah, definitely.
It launched them back into me being like, oh, we got to start. Like, I was feeling that way about the Texans. And now I feel like it's swapped. Like, oh, no, I got to start caring about the Jags again.
Yeah, Jags might win this division. I mean, the Colts, they're coming off a bye. We'll see if they were able to get right. But they were, trending in the wrong direction. Jaguars certainly got all the momentum right now. The Rams hang on for a 21-19 victory over Seattle. They intercepted Sam Darnold 4 times in this game and won by 2. The Seattle defense hung tough throughout this game. And I thought that was a big part of the takeaways from this one. And the fact that Sam Darnold threw 4 picks and the Seahawks defense was consistently giving them opportunity after opportunity and keeping them in it. And then Jason Myers almost has an opportunity to win the game with a 61-yarder. I think this says actually more about Seattle, despite the loss, than it did about the Rams. But it's still a really good win for the Rams because both these teams are great. They're battling in the division. And so for the Rams to still, pull it off is impressive. And I'll give them kudos for that. But I just thought it was impressive for Seattle for them to shit the bed so many times and still be in it in the end. It shows that they can win with Darnold not being, or they can come close to winning with Darnold having a catastrophic game,
Yeah. So I think I actually have this as my loss of the week, and it's Seattle. And I actually feel differently about Seattle.
Interesting. Okay.
In the sense that let me counterpoint. Well, yes, I still think Seattle's a very good football team, and I think Seattle very well could make the playoffs and would be a tough out. I think now, in my deepest of hearts, if I'm a Seattle Seahawk fan, I'm going, oh shit!
Yeah, are we getting the Sam Darnold collapse early?
He really is this guy. When it matters the most, he's going to throw 4 interceptions, and we're never going to win the game. And we're going to win 10 games a year for the next couple of years. And anytime we have a big moment, it's going to be, oh, there he goes again. This to me was such a, I'm not saying that now the story is completely written, but if the Seattle Seahawks have a game week 17 or 18, it's they need to win. The pressure is on, and it's the biggest game of their season. If they lose, they're out. If they win, they're in. Or if they make the playoffs and as soon as that game goes, I will bet Sam Darnold to melt down. I will sit here and we will analyze the games and I'll pick them and I'll say, I'm not picking Seattle because I have enough evidence now to suggest that Sam Darnold will not play well when it's really important. So that's why I say it's my loss of the week. I know that's probably overreacting. I'm going the hot take route. I think it's crazy how good Seattle is, though. I mean, Barner, 10 catches. He was everywhere. JSN is the best receiver in football. Walker really led the way this one with the touchdown.
Yeah, they finally gave him some chances.
Their defense is really special. They just had Stafford frustrated. I mean, Stafford still 2 touchdown passes, but 15 of 28, 130 yards. He was not himself. They just could not get into rhythm. It is the only flaw that I see in the Rams right now as a football team, is that if you can get their offense out of rhythm, Stafford is not Josh Allen. He is not a let's get off script and let's get funky. Matt Stafford is why he's so good with Sean McVay, is on script. And I am Kirk Cousins on script, only with maybe one of the top 5 arms in NFL history. And so if you can get them and know what they're doing and play well against them, Stafford, that's your chance to get him. But even that said, Stafford did enough. And if they didn't have that Puka Nacua fumble, it probably actually wouldn't have been as close as it was. 2 really good teams. The Rams uniforms are wild. You can't wear that black. That is, what are we doing here?
It's terrible.
What are we doing here? I think my loss of the week goes to Seattle for them. They see dead people. They know.
It could be, foretelling for sure. Well, only time will tell, but the collapse may be coming early for Sam Darnold. 49ers win 41-22 over the Cardinals. Jacoby Brissett sets an NFL record in this game. 47 completions. Unbelievable. He's actually made the Cardinals offense look pretty decent compared to Kyler Murray. It looks like a better operation overall. But Brock Purdy in his return, got to give him credit, man. He played really well. And this wasn't, I know it was a somewhat of a soft landing against the Cardinals compared to a lot of other teams they could have played against. But to come off of the injury he had and to play with poise and the confidence and throw 3 touchdowns and have a convincing win, I thought it was impressive. And it goes to show, okay, they know what they're doing. There's a reason that they didn't stick with Mac Jones. The second that Brock Purdy was available, they go to him, and he has this performance. And 49ers are 7-4. They might, they're going to be one of those like rising teams going into the end of the season to where we're saying, are they a top 5 team come playoff time? I really think that that's possible.
Yeah, very cool for Jacoby Brissett. The Cardinals clearly made the right decision. We are severing ties with Kyler Murray, and we're going to move on as an organization.
It's over, man. It's over.
I just have this to say. Purdy needed this game. What an answer from him. And I was reminded again why Purdy is one of the better of the Jared Goff category quarterbacks. He's not Jared Goff, but he's above Kirk Cousins, where it's like he's still got a lively enough youthful arm. I don't think Purdy will age particularly well, like Cousins has it. When you rely on your brain over your body, eventually your body's going to break down enough where you just can't make NFL throws anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And Purdy, I mean, if he would have played poorly and they would have struggled, the calls for Mac Jones, I mean, like, it could get ugly. So he needed this. He responded really, really well. And then also Christian McCaffrey, dude.
He's so good. He's on pace like for a career year overall, or like on par with his MVP caliber seasons.
He's not rushing as much, but his total yards is insane. He has more receiving yards this year. He's in the top 10. He has more receiving yards than Egbuka, Diggs, Nico Collins, Cortland Sutton. He has more receiving yards than those guys.
Yeah, I think he's starting number 1 wide receiver.
I think he's number 7, and then he has more rushing yards than Saquon, Jacobs, DeAndre Swift, and Ashton Genty, guys who haven't missed games. It's really a great renaissance for him. I don't know how many more years of that we'll have, but it's great. And also Purdy and Kittle have something, and the Niners offense is better when Kittle is humming.
Sure.
Like most offenses are better when your tight end's humming. So the fact that Purdy and Kittle have something is really important.
The Ravens barely beat the Browns. The Browns gave this one away, 23-16. We saw Shadur Sanders come in. My main takeaway from this game was that Baltimore, they're coming, and they're not going slowly. They're going to be feisty, but they're also not what they were last year. They're not dominant enough. And Lamar has looked much more human than he has in the past. And so if I were the Baltimore Ravens, I would be a little concerned and a little worried. Now, the Browns defense is incredible, and it's division game. So it's like, how much you read into that? I get that aspect of it. But the Browns had this game won, and then Shadur Sanders comes in, and, they give the game back to Baltimore, who ends up winning. But yeah, they're very interesting. I got to give credit to Mark Andrews, who became the franchise's all-time leading receiver as well. But yeah, I don't know if I'm very confident in Baltimore right now. The AFC North is a weird division this year.
I try not to overreact to AFC North football games.
Yeah.
Like
understood.
They just are always funky. And Lamar, listen, he was sacked 5 times. It wasn't a great Lamar game. He had 2 interceptions, under 200 yards passing. He wasn't special, but again, they found a way to win a really tough divisional game against a Cleveland team that, if they had a top 12 quarterback in the NFL, then they would
probably lead the division.
They'd be the Detroit Lions. I mean, they would be a monster to deal with, like a real monster to deal with. I don't know how elite they'd be, but they would be a gigantic handful. And so good luck to Shadur. Excited to actually watch him get to start a game. But for the Ravens, they've done it. They've won 4 in a row, and they're officially back. Like, now they can breathe a little bit. The Ravens have the Jets at home. You've got to win that football game. And keep the pressure on Cleveland and the Raiders. Can we pass on that next week?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Shadur will make it interesting.
All right, we're going to get to my win of the week.
Okay.
Denver Broncos, 22-19 over the Kansas City Chiefs. To me, this is the win of the week because Denver solidified their place atop the AFC West. And I'm not saying they're guaranteed division winners now, but they have solidified their position in terms of making it extremely difficult on everybody in their division at this point in time. The Chargers lost a brutal game. They're 7-4. They're 2 games back. The Broncos have now pushed the Chiefs almost. It's really hard to say, but like almost out of contention for the West. I don't even know if I can realistically see
They're not going to
the
win the
Chiefs,
West.
but it's Patrick Mahomes. Like, could they theoretically rattle off 7 straight wins? Yes, because it's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs do crazy things. But
even then, I don't know if that's enough.
Well, it might not be, yeah, because the Broncos only need 3 more wins the rest of the way, right, to match that win total. Huge victory for Denver. Bo Nix played poised and confident. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes overall, I would say, in this game. Still not a guy that I'm confident in from week to week basis. I don't think he's anything super special. I just think that the defense is so damn good in Denver that if you can put together a somewhat competent game management performance and get some run game out of it, that you can win a lot of football games. And the Chiefs are, they're starting to slightly fray. Their age is showing as a team a little bit. They're just not the teams that they have been of previous years. I'm still not going to bet against this team. I think the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs this year, and I think they're going to be a difficult team to contend with. But they're going to have a much more difficult road to both the playoffs and to the Super Bowl if they get in. So this is a very mortal Chiefs team that we're witnessing right now.
Listen, the Chiefs had the ball tied with a chance to win, and the Chiefs had the ball down 3 with a chance to win.
Yep.
And that's supposed to be Patrick Mahomes' time. And I don't know why the Chiefs' weapons are the way they are, but now I would argue with Rice, with Worthy, and then the bevy of other guys they kind of throw out there in that wide receiver group. That is above
average group.
That is an above average group. That is enough that should be enough for a guy who's the best quarterback in the league, but if not that, then easily one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league. Like that should be enough. When you add in Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, like I don't understand what they're doing with the running back position. I don't understand how they could not at least just like there are so many even just guys you draft in the 6th, 7th round. Kyle Monangai, my guy. You found Pacheco in the 7th round.
Mm-hmm.
Your guys have zero explosivity anymore. These were guys that they were smart about it. They got the most out of very little, but it's dead. And the
really Andy Reid offense used to produce phenomenal seasons out of running backs. Even the Damian Williamses of the world, where you're like, he's not a special running back, but the Chiefs offense makes him one.
Ryan Westbrook and Deuce McAllister or Deuce Staley. Deuce McAllister was the Saints, right?
Yes, correct.
So
Brian Westbrook was incredible. If the Chiefs had Westbrook on this team, it'd be unreal. I mean, it's just it's a good. Andy Reid's offenses are tailor made for running backs to perform well, and they haven't in the last 2-3 seasons.
It feels to me like Andy Reid and Nagy. I mean, I know it's Andy. I don't know how much Nagy's really involved, but it like when is the last time you just like I watched the Bear. Now I watch Ben Johnson's offense, and again, this is not me saying Ben Johnson's better, but when I watch the Chicago Bears, I truly see like an identity to run the football and to do play action. And when Caleb drops back and throws a dart, like Mahomes throws a dart, I know for a fact now watching Ben Johnson's offense, my guys are going to be running at like right angles or like it's going to be like when you watch everything's
like, intentional.
Right? The Chiefs, everything's like, oh no, you're supposed to curl, and then it's supposed
They're much more like jazz.
Travis, get over here and like you do this, right? Like I hope you're watching right now because
they're improvisational.
And the problem is, it just feels like it was great improv when it was Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, John Belushi. Now it's Seth Meyers and you know what I mean? Like insert this guy. Like now it's like, hey, I know Will Ferrell's still in this cast. You have Mahomes, right? But it's like the rest of the cast feels like it's just not good at
Yeah,
improv.
piecing
And
things
so
together.
I don't know how to describe that, but I say that to say this: the Chiefs are 0-5 against playoff teams. Maybe it's the years, maybe it's the years of picking in the bottom of the end of the first round. It doesn't feel like they have a bunch of A talent. It feels like they have a bunch of okay guys, and Mahomes deserves a little bit of criticism here. Is supposed to be now at the point where it's like, that doesn't matter. You are the best player on planet Earth. He doesn't look like the best player on planet Earth for the last year and a half.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. I also will say, as a closing note on that game, I am starting to wonder if this Broncos team is the 2020 Steelers, dominant for the first 11-ish weeks, great, phenomenal defense, but exposed down the stretch. We'll see if they keep it up. But
Yeah.
I'm just
They're
I'm
not in my
just gonna
top
throw that
10.
out there. And you had mentioned Kansas City. They do not own tiebreakers over the 3 wild card teams currently:
They're
Buffalo,
0-5 against
Chargers,
playoff
and
teams.
Jacksonville. They've lost all 3. So they have to not only reach them, they have to get past those teams, or at least one of those teams in record, to be able to solidify themselves a wild card spot, and that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, an 11-6 team in the AFC is not good enough for the Chiefs. They have to try to find a way. Like, they got to win out. Like, they got to get to 12-5 because of the tiebreakers, as you said. Like, they've got to get ahead of these guys.
Yeah, they do. All right, let's get to the final 2 games. The Eagles edged the Lions in a
Yeah.
very close, hard-fought game, 16-9 in this one.
Bare knuckle brawl.
Gosh, I mean, talk about going for it. My goodness. Dan Campbell
0 for
went for it,
5
but
on
they went for
fourth.
5 times, and they did it.
I love it.
I mean, that was my nose. Like, how many failed 4th down attempts before you stop and say, okay, let's just try to like do something different here. I respect the him changing the league the way he has, and the confidence, but it was 6 drives between the second and third quarter, and they failed on 4th 5 of those 6 drives, and those are key moments in the game. Now, amazingly, Detroit's defense yielded just 6 total points on those 5 failed 4th down attempts, which those are as good as turnovers in my view.
Yeah.
So five turnovers, and you only let up 6 points off of those. So kudos to Detroit's defense for keeping the Lions in this one. Goff looked really bad. He went 2 for 18 in his final 20 attempts, Mark. That is hard to do.
It is hard.
And that may be a problem. That may be a really big problem in some of these key moments. 2 for 18? Come on.
Well, the game was outside, Dan.
Oh,
and the Lions, lucky for them, don't play outside again until they play the Chicago Bears in the final week of the season.
Yep.
So here's what I'll say about this game. I'm not panicking if I'm Detroit. You lost
it's
on the road.
Game.
You lost on the road against the defending champs, and your defense, as you said, played really, really well. You gave up 16 points to the defending champs on the road. Offensively, Philly's really good on defense, and their front 7 was giving the Lions' offensive line fits. I mean, real fits. Goff struggled, absolutely. It felt like the Lions also just didn't run the ball. They didn't commit to running, and again, it felt like Campbell lost sight of that. Montgomery and Gibbs combined 18 for 66. That's not good enough. One of those guys has got to be getting 18 carries, and the other one's got to be getting 9, 10, 11. So I didn't understand a lot of the play calling. It felt like it was a reverse for Dan Campbell after a really nice showing. And if I'm the Eagles, this doesn't feel like the Eagles after the Super Bowl last year, the one where they embarrassed to Tampa. Like, this feels like they're somewhere in between the Super Bowl year and that year, where it's like, okay, I'm not panicking because you're winning, but there is something. Like, it's not perfect right now. It's not perfect. I wouldn't trust them against the Rams, but I still feel like they deserve to be that second spot in the NFC right now.
Yeah, and obviously got to give kudos to the Eagles defense, but I mean, to your point about not panicking for the Lions, how often are they going to go 0 for 5 on fourth down? You know, if they get one or two of those, this maybe looks like a very, very different game. So, you know, that helps maybe keep it a little bit in perspective. The final game, I don't think we need to spend too much time on, but the Dallas Cowboys beat the Raiders, surprise, surprise, 33-16. Dallas offense does look really good. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens. George Pickens is playing phenomenal. He's playing incredible football.
Get that money.
Yes, sir. Yeah, going to be a free agent this year. I highly doubt the Cowboys are going to be able to pay him, especially with the contracts that are, you know, locked up with Dak and CD. But if they do, kudos to them because this duo is working really well. But is it too little, too late for Dallas in your mind, despite, you know, the offense playing as well as they have been?
Well, they're going to need to go undefeated the rest of the year. So I do think it's too little too late.
Yeah.
Because in the NFC, you are not getting in with 9 wins. You may get in with 10, but you would have to have some good tiebreakers.
Yeah, so they got to go 6-2 the rest of the way to even have that option
to get to 10. And I just don't see that happening. But I'll say this. Quinn Williams now on that defense, like that defense.
It's not bad. Kenny Clark had a nice game.
You're kind of looking at what Jerry did going, they get 2 first-round picks. Like this team feels like they are 2 first-round picks on defense away.
That's why I didn't hate the trade at the time. I was like, they're
like next year, I'm already more confident next year in Dallas. And you know me, I'm Dallas denier. Then Washington.
They have to draft well. That's been their big problem, right?
And they have to get the 2 consecutive healthy Dak years, which also never happens.
Right.
So,
yes, that's a great point.
But they feel like a real team. They feel like I feel like they're a better football team than the Panthers. I feel like they're a better football team than, you know, they're
the Jaguars. Like, would you trust them?
I'm just looking at NFC. I think right now, it's
Jaguars' defense is pretty good.
The defense has stepped up.
Yeah, so but that's pretty close. I would think those are fairly close teams. I would trust Dallas's offense more than
I mean, in the NFC, they're probably hovering around that 5th or 6th spot in the that I would be like, hey, but for the Raiders, like Geno's, you got to cut Geno. Like
really bad.
Stop playing him.
Bad.
Stop playing him. He's not good. He's not good.
And Ashton Genty has zero room to run. I mean, he can't even hit a hole.
Chip Kelly.
There's 3 people in the backyard.
Chip Kelly is not adjusting anything to his terrible offensive line. And I get like there's only maybe so much you can do, but it feels like you got to try more because your offensive line is so bad. Like you've got to try more to be better. Yeah, dude. I don't know. Yeah. Let's look ahead really quickly. Can I read you some games here next week?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
So it's a really interesting week in the sense that almost every game has something for one of the teams, right? Obviously, Thursday Night Football, Bills, Texans, that's paid. Bears, Steelers, both are in play. Colts, Chiefs, it's really meaningful for both. Patriots, Bengals, meaningful for the Patriots to keep the number 1 seed. Jets, Ravens, obviously the Ravens can't afford losses. Seahawks, Titans, obviously the Seahawks, they've got to bounce back. Vikings, Packers, huge ramifications, divisional matchup. Giants, Lions, the Lions need to bounce back. Like there's every game's got something. Jags, Cardinals, Jaguars have got to keep the momentum going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then you get every game I've listed so far, and then you get to the afternoon slate, and you hit this like, oh, we really only got one good game in the afternoon, don't we?
Yeah.
It's Browns, Raiders, Falcons, Saints, just like, and then Eagles, Cowboys, Sunday, late afternoon. I mean, Eagles, it's, I guess, divisional game.
It could be a good game. I mean, yeah, Dallas could win that.
Rams,
game.
Bucs, Sunday Night Football. That'll be really fun. Baker and Stafford, points. Take the over in that game. And then Panthers and Niners. We get to watch Bryce Young.
I think it's an interesting game. I'm actually intrigued and excited to watch that one. Yeah.
I'm excited to just get to watch Bryce Young full game. Exactly. I'm watching Bryce Young play football tonight.
Yep. Good times. All right.
Yeah.
Well, a lot to look forward to. Of course, Bear Steelers, the big one for us, and I'm excited to talk about that come next week, win or lose.
Just the whole
But
show.
yeah, bragging rights on the line. But appreciate you all being here. For those who have stayed with us for the entire hour 20 in our Week 11 recap, we'll be back for our Week 12 recap next week. And until then, enjoy some great football. Have a great weekend.